Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screen and LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The gen brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale or get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shady clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. Almost God creates the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rights. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Charts are noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I'll reload, I play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screen and LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not.
Good morning, guys. Who we got? We got Bull Runner, Noah, Brett. TradingView has an 80% off sale right now. Oh, nice. All right, cool. I'll jump in on that, guys. If you are someone who's like thinking about pulling the trigger on TradingView, yeah, 80% off is a big deal. They usually only have that. Well, they used to only have it once a year, but it seems to be a lot more common now. Natum, the intro song reminds me of Attack on Titan. I'm actually in the middle of watching that. I'm on like season 2 right now. It's pretty good. Jo, what's up? Map the Great, Chris, Millen, Shane, George, anywho, what's up? All right, let's get into the charts. So, short term wise, like I feel like Bitcoin's on its way down. We can talk about that. We got we had this wild move up over the weekend, and yeah, so I was kind of in bear mode before I even got to the charts. So I put on my red shirt today, preparing for the move down. We got like a internal to the internal break right here. We lost POC, we lost or below. So statistically, we had to move like down once we got that official break here when it closed below this area. Right now we have an SFP though. It's not confirmed yet, but in about 5 minutes we'll have a 15-minute SFP. We had a 5-minute SFP, so that 5-minute SFP is kind of front running the 15-minute story, telling us that we could be coming back up towards this high. But yeah, I didn't take a trade this morning because now it's just about, its positioning sucks. Like, you want to be at like the valley area high right here, or at this valley area low, for preparing for, you know, shorts or longs. And like the posture itself is like, you know, it's literally, everything's all kind of like internal and ugly. So if you took the trade for like the orb break, right, your stop loss, you could either use the orb high or the strong high as your stop loss suggestion. You could target this low. It's only going to give you like a 1-to-1, so you'd be forced to look for the retracement back in, and you need it retrace. You need it to retrace to about like 80,925 around here. In order to get the R&R, you need to double your risk to the valley area low. So if you take any short, like if you take a trade, like taking the short's a safer play, because here, even if we get the break above and meet the criteria for a long, or it got supply risk, we have downtrending momentum, we have the hourly order block, we have the 200-day EMA, we have the value area high. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4 confluences telling us we can go down. Then we just need structural agreements if we get there for a short, right? So lots of reason to drop when we get there, or if we get there. And like down here, we have our, if we go to the hourly, you can see that this is like an hourly strong low. You know, wild whipsaw kind of price action, similar to what we had last weekend. Right, this was last Sunday here. Right, and we had the same kind of thing happen this Sunday. The weekly candle close reactions. So that's kind of it for me when it comes to Bitcoin today. It's just looking for the structural agreements of support, either at this valley area high around A2000, where the 200-day EMA is, or looking for the structural agreements, resistance or support around here, between the valley area low and this 30-minute order block. And now if we zoom out on this thing, go the 4-hour time frame, you can see that we failed to create the higher high. So like, you know, breaking this low would be crazy. We'd see a potential stronger retracement down. And I've been focusing on like this area a lot for a bounce. If we were to retrace from here, like between like the 50-day EMA and this valley area low at 75,000, there's like a lot of confluences here for a bounce. But again, you just can't assume support here. Look for the structural agreements. But if we get support here, then it might only be a run up to around 78,000, where we start creating higher or lower highs, right? Maybe even paint the picture of like a large, like head and shoulders, like in Batman style, right? It's the bigger picture here. A lot of alts kind of had a run during the weekend. For anyone who was trading over the weekend, you can take a look at that. But yeah, that's kind of it for Bitcoin for me. Just looking for that rotation down to here. I'm not in on this, but this is a setup that like you could take. Let's just be aware of like these wick level lows, where you could get a strong reaction off of them. This is the only local setup that there is. Let's see what we got in the chat. What indicator do you have to see SFPs? Well, you can see SFPs with or without an indicator, but the indicator that I'm using is a 11x. It is probably the best indicator you'll ever find when it comes to market structure, but it does cost money. If you guys want a discount on it, you can use the code InvestiShare. I'll save you like 10%. But it's pretty helpful. So in order for you to identify SFPs, though, if you want to be able to do it on your own without an indicator, any criteria to be met for a change of character or a break of structure, like you look for a 2-candle pullback, right? At least a 2-candle pullback, and then the high, the unclaimed high, becomes an area of interest where you could get an SFP. Because an SFP is basically an invalidation of a break of structure or an invalidation of a change of character. So we come up and take that high, we'll be closed below. Let's find an example so it's easier for anyone who's in here to learn. So let's look at this SFP example because it's pretty picture perfect, honestly. So we have a move down. We had at least a 2 consecutive candle pullback. We got a lot more than that, right? So we have more than what we need here. And then we came down here and we swept the low. And so long as this candle, this green candle here, closed above this wick, it would have been considered an SFP. And SFPs warn you of a rotation back up to your strong highs or your strong lows. So this SFP in the 15-minute is telling us a story that we could get that rotation up to this high. But not all SFPs should be considered equal. You should use them in confluence with other rules because, like for example, I back tested every months and months and months of SFPs on the 15-minute time frame, and it's like a 42% chance of it reaching its opposite side, like its strong high or strong low. So to increase the odds, you could use stuff like the MFI or VWAP deviation, right? And if you reach the VWAP deviation in confluence with like the SFP sweep, liquidity sweep from the SFP, then your odds are a lot higher. You can create your own rules, but just make sure you like back test the crap out of it. Let's see. Uncle, I CBA to trade at the moment. Price action is dog. yeah, same man. I'm not in on any setups. I'm just sitting on my hands, waiting for price action to come to the value area low or to the value area high, and then look for structure. Sick anime indeed. I watched it. You watched it 3 times? I watched it to like season around basically where I'm at now, and then I just stopped. I think it was like what they had released at the time, and then I found out recently they have like 4 or 5 seasons, so I started rewatching it again. But yeah, this morning we spoke about a few assets in the trade hunting call. We spoke about the ridiculousness that we're seeing on Zcash. Like it just absolutely skyrocketed. We were looking for a rotation back down to its local valley area low because it got acceptance inside this previous 200-day valley area, right? We zoom out again, sorry. We could see like this was a valley area from back in like 2025. We ranged here for 22 days, and creating a 22-day valley area. We left it here, used it as resistance here, hit our head off of this like supply and confluence with the POC here. And now we got acceptance back inside of it, warning us that we get that rotation to the valley area high. We got that rotation, and now you got to pair for a rotation back down to the valley area low. But yeah, right now we are kind of local range bound. We have a little tiny bit of demand, like at its point of control at 517.59 right here. It's not great on the hourly. It's a little easier to see on the 15-minute. But yeah, kind of like a regression trend kind of demand here. This is our 4-hour strong low. So we could find support here at our local valley area low. Like we're currently sweeping these lows here, and it could induce a reversal. This thing likes to move on its own. So yes, you prefer Bitcoin to kind of agree with you. Like if Bitcoin's bullish and it's at a valley area low, and Zcash is bullish and it's at a valley area low, like you're gonna have higher probability odds of Zcash kind of running up alongside it. But yeah, if this thing kind of moves on its own too. Now we're at a valley low. So this is an area where we prepare for longs. We have uptrending momentum here. This is evolving momentum from a regression trend back here. So take it with a grain of salt. You shouldn't enter based on trend lines anyways, unless you have like order books kind of agreeing with you. If you see a large buy wall trailing the trend line, then at that point you can kind of listen to it. But no matter what, you should have some kind of structural agreement, whether it be like a newly created order block or a bullish change of character or a tweezer reaction, right? So yeah, looking for longs here. If not here, then we can see it around like 533.05. If we get a 4-hour close below 533.05, then we flip bearish on the 4-hour. That could induce a pullback before going down. And then, yeah, we could find support at the valley area low, but only because it's a key area of interest, right? At 472. But if you look structurally, there is nothing there, right? Nothing was newly formed other than this demand right here. So I would, make sure you look for structural agreements around here for sure if we get that full rotation down to 472, because you'll be trading on a glass floor. So like around here we have demand at 436. So we could see that deviation from the valley area and then acceptance again, and then prepare for us to get stuck range bound here for, like normally when we're going into like a previous valley area, like we range for roughly around the same time, I think 50% to 100% of the time. So we stuck here for 11 to 22 days again. We looked at Cardano too. Cardano's been doing really well. Last time we spoke about Cardano, we talked about the fact that like we were getting acceptance back inside this 53-day valley area right after breaking out of this one. I'm not sure how long this one is. This one's about 39 days. Yeah, so we talked about that on, I think it was like last week, maybe last Monday, where if we get that acceptance. Oh no, it was last. It was on the 8th. Yeah, we talked about here on the 8th because we have a key level here warning us of a continuation. But yeah, we got that break. Got acceptance in this valley area here with warning sign that we'll be leaving this one like during this moment. And we got that full rotation to our 6-hour order block where we're preparing for a rejection. We got the rejection. So far, like we hit our head off there. Others dominance was doing pretty well over the weekend. It's kind of retracing now, but I would prepare for, again, a retracement back up to like 28.65 on Cardano, and then prepare for like that bearish change of character, just like we got here. And kind of fell down from that moment. And maybe we'll lose this more macro uptrending momentum and get stuck range bound in this macro valley area again. All right. And start targeting 25.77 if we get that like bearish change of character here. Like structurally, if you look at like the hourly we flip bearish like around here. So we kind of want that high to be taken, pull back, maybe another new high, so we can establish it like a key level that's closer to the value area high and not somewhere in the center of the range. And then we can use that confluence for the big drop. And that could take time for that picture to be painted, but Solana, what's Solana doing? Well, Solana broke past its 108-day point of control. It's a pretty big deal. So we got, let's zoom out on this thing. Yeah, we left out 4. I spoke about this a lot already, where as we get closer and closer to this area, this is a big supply boss, right? And we have a psychological level of $100 here. So as we get closer and closer, we gotta prepare for a rejection there. Should mark this wick level high now that we're so close to it, in case we get like an SFP or a sweep here. So I would get your bear goggles ready for Solana, starting at like 97.68 to $100. So between here and here, if you get that bearish change of character here, I would listen to that. We kind of have this ascending regression trend, so we're stacking more and more liquidity below us. So we're thinking like a market maker, when they're going to have more and more reason to want to have influence the price actually come down, right? Induce the reversal. Sometimes they're the ones that induce the reversal through giving us like the sell. They'll sell right at like a key level to induce it, like a change of character, to get more trade participants to drive the price down, so retail can bring it down, and then they can use the funds that they use to exit to re-entry with the least amount of price impact. But yeah, we can mark these new key levels here. We got an hourly order block here, like at this 91-day value area high. That's at 89.55. We can move this one here to here. We got these are the 2 new levels that you can watch for longs, and then this is a big level to watch for like shorts around here. There you go. I hope that helps. But that's Solana. And this was a key level that we're watching for shorts, but this never broke. Now, right now, based on the current price action, like this isn't the best spot for it, but it's right here. Let's look at the 15 minutes, see if there's a better. Yeah, right now we're internal between this low and this high. So all this is just internal price action. So we're getting a squeeze right now down to the momentum. So there's an apex point right here. And we normally break out about 30% prior to that apex point. So we could come up, maybe grab this liquidity first. This newly added liquidity right here. Blow this low, sweep that, and then break to the upside, then take 97.68. And at 97.68, between there and $100, I'll be looking for shorts. We got Alex of Crypto. What's up, man? Kyle's voice on Monday touches me softly. Where's the sign of acceptance? Sorry, man. Where was I saying that so I could show you? Yeah, Alex and I are working on mechanical based strategy together, so people can try to get entries in the lower time frames, like the 3 minute. Can we look at XRP? Yeah, we can do that. What's the area for long on Bitcoin, please? Yeah, so an area for long for me right now starts at 80,206. We have an hourly strong low there, so we can prepare for like an SFP reaction. But we do flip bearish on the hourly if we close below here. It might be short-lived though. The hourly hasn't really been reliable inside this range, but if you get a bullish change of character on the 15-minute time frame, starting around here to this 30-minute order block, you can get potential confluence for a long here. Just look for structural gradients and then you'll be fine. But yeah, starting at 80,108 short-term longs, not like crazy longs or anything like that. Unless, of course, because you'll be targeting this value area high. If you see that break a structure off the value area high, then that warns you could be going trend bound up. But I've been saying for a little while now, we're getting awfully close to an impulse fib at 83,418. So when we hit that, we can get a harsh rejection off that area. And it's pretty close to the equilibrium point of a supply zone. If you look over here on like the hourly or the 4 hour, you can see it clearly. Let me just show you. I'm on the 3 hour right now. But yeah, like this whole area was supply, but we mitigated up to about here. And that could be, a conduit for a big drop. But I'm watching it as if right now we could potentially fail to create the higher highs, like lose against the battle against this 200-day EMA and get squeezed down. But for now, I'd be focusing on like bear mode until we get down there. What's stopping you from entering the Bitcoin short now? So I trade based on the knowledge of statistical probability. So if I'm in an area where I don't know the statistical probability, I don't typically enter a trade. I can gauge whether or not the likelihood that it's likely going to be going down based on the current confluences we have at hand. Like, for example, the confluences that we have for anyone who's jumping in on a short right now is that we just broke like internal to the internal low, like super internal price action low. We broke this POC. We broke orb to the downside. We are below the VWAP. We have a bearish order block on our side here, right? So all that is kind of telling me that we could be going down. Now, we also just had in like 15, 20, about half an hour ago, a opposing bullish SFP warning us to be coming back up. So we're kind of like in no man's land when it comes to my rules. Like, I'd rather be jumping in on shorts around here, rather be jumping in longs around here. Based on how this value area has developed over the past week. So I'd rather sit in my hands and wait for an area where we have better odds of reversal. But if you are in on any short, if anyone's jumped in a short here, your true invalidation point comes from a close above 81,000. Where's the high point? Yeah, $81,316. So right here. Any close above that would tell us we could be coming back up. And I'd rather be encouraging people to be going down than up right now because of this guy here. This little supply boss that kind of helped induce this pullback to begin with, right? Whenever you see an impulse move down, base of structure, impulse move down, like these are areas of interest where we can hit our head. So you can literally predict a future rejection by looking at these areas. And if they have order block confluence, then even better. What's up, JT? How you doing, man? Andrew. Ash Hunts. We got. Thanks for explanation. I joined your Discord today, so planning on going through the course when find some time. Nice, yeah. I recommend just like if you're someone who's super busy, just trying to do like one. It's formatted by day, so it's a 30-day course. So try to do one section per day, and you'll get through it. It's a big course. It's like 140 videos. Yeah, and some of it, depending on where you're at in your trading journey, you might be able to skip the first like 3 or 4 days of the course. Where are we going to? Okay, so we looked at Cardano, we looked at Zcash, we looked at Solana. We spoke about Sui this morning because it had a ridiculous move up. And currently Sui is like losing a battle against a previous value area low in the 200-day EMA confluence. And it kind of reached the POC. I think there's a strong volume shelf here, volume node. Similar to like Cardano. Cardano's positioning was way more obvious, right? Because we had its value area crunched against a previous one, so like this was like basically here relative to its positioning. So when Sui ran up, it kind of like sprinted to a value area to use it as resistance rather than getting to a value area high. So it had like unique positioning in that sense, but it kind of told the story in the same way. Like if we zoom out on Cardano, like this would, for me, if I were to pick an asset where I expect which one would likely perform the best, I would have picked Cardano over Sui in that scenario, just because I knew, yes, this did really well, but I also knew that we haven't fully mitigated the supply, and Cardano was getting acceptance into the value area like perfectly here during this moment. Acceptance looks like up to candle pullback and then a higher high, right? At least a 2 candle pullback and then a higher high. Anything that defines like a proper break of structure, like in a value area. So like during that moment, we not only does it look like acceptance into a value area, it also looks like a retest to a 50-day EMA and honoring it as a form of support. So acceptance to a previous value area, bounce off 50-day EMA, bounce off previous value high, all in one confirming candle, which was technically like right here. This guy, right? And then you can use this as your stop loss because you'd have VWAP on your side and all those confluences that we just spoke about as a form of guardian for your capital and a newly formed strong low. So that was obviously picture perfect. One of the most picture perfect kind of examples of acceptance and leaving a value area that I've seen in a while. And Sui, I no doubt kind of had that, like kind of sort of same kind of confluence when looking down here in the lower time frames. But you also want to be, when you're picking a trade, let's say you have 5 trades in front of you, you want to make sure you pick the trade that has the least amount of barriers, the most amount of confluences, anything that meets all of your rules. Like if you have everything in the checklist format where you need like this, and this to happen, and one of those boxes aren't checked on one of the 5 assets you're looking at, pick the one where they have all the boxes checked, right? You don't need to take every trade, right? Especially in the crypto space where everything that moves is very correlated together, where if you lose one trade, you tend to lose them all. So just pick one and just have your margin focused on it. Wait, here's our momentum right here on SUI. We don't have much holding it up. If we're looking at the hourly, we have an hourly order block down here. And then the demand down here. Like we only have like a super low time frame area of interest here. If we go like the 5-minute posture, like you could look at this as an area of interest due to the 5-minute, but not much. So the only thing you'd have to go off of is like the fact that we did have that bullish change of character telling us that we could be coming up, but we're losing against the VWAP again. So as soon as you saw like this engulfing response, candle hit, bearish engulfing candle off the VWAP, like that warns you to get out. Right? Don't fight against the current. So yeah, for anyone who's looking for a SUI setup, I'll just be patient. And right now, structurally, we are bullish on the 15. Kind of internal to the internal though. Again, everything's internal. We broke here. We're kind of pulling back. Yeah, 786 kind of bounce. And getting back above that VWAP, we could see a rotation back up to this value area low, but I'm expecting a lower high. This is an example of like failure of acceptance into a value area, right? You want to see break in, 2 candle pullback, higher high, right? We broke in, we got a 2 candle pullback, failed to get the higher high, right? So we broke below, used it as resistance, and got lower lows. Whenever you see acceptance into a previous value area, think of it like a tool to warn you that you could have a target extension. So if you're already in an existing long and you see something like this, you can use the value area data to help provide like new targets. So you look at the value area high as your extreme target, watch out for the POC, and then look for any like supply warnings internally within that could also warn you that we could be coming down. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't really have much of a setup here for you, but down here, you could look for potential long at like 116.22. Or a rotation back up here for a new short. Bitcoin's coming up to test that VWAP. We have a 15-minute order block there. We're getting close to that SFE technical target. Here to here. Yeah, we're right at the VWAP now, so. And we got bearish order block. 786 is kind of a little higher. 81.22. Yeah, 81.122, sorry. Oh yeah, XRP request. Sorry about that. Let's take a peek. I think it's been a little while since we looked at XRP as well. May 8th. Okay, so Friday. That wasn't that long. What were we looking at? We're looking at the possibility if we got the close below here, we get that rotation down because oh yeah, we're talking about the volume gap here. We slipped into it and came back out. And if we came back up, we were watching for a potential resistance here. But we mitigated that order block. Didn't have any opposing structure. The kilo rotated here. key level, then rotate to here. We're trying to get support off of this more macro value area high. We were range bound in this for how long now? 93 days. So we can adapt our fixed range volume profile pull. There we go. Delete this. We'll move this back over here. This is still relevant if we get back down there. We got momentum that's relatively similar to Cardano's. We broke this momentum. We flip bullish here on the 15. Yeah, so XRP right now, like, we're trying to go after this unclaimed high. We got supply risk right here where we could hit our head. So if you see an opposing change of character here, then listen to the market and get out. But up here we can target 0.1507. If we close above here, then we have a confirmation of leaving this value area. If we look at this picture here, so we zoomed out on the 4-hour, we have this downtrending momentum, right? We broke that downtrending momentum, we retested it, and all we need is that confirmation of acting as a form of supply. So if you're in on existing longs, this is going to be really helpful to tell you to hold your trade a lot longer. This would also look like a form of support off of this value area that we were ranging in for over 90 days. Right, so this would warn us that we could be going trend bound out of this range and into a previous value area. The next value area is way the heck up here. You'd be looking at like 186.55. But along the way, we have barriers. We have these two wick level highs at 167 and 167. People with their hands right now going like this. But yeah, up here we have supply. So along the way, you got to watch for opposing reaction, watch for opposing reaction, watch for opposing reaction. So we have 3 big areas of interest you have to watch out for along the way to that previous value area. But that is a significant move. So hopefully you get that 4-hour candle close above here so you can have that 4-hour break of structure form of acceptance. You can look at the hourly too to front run that. That looks really good. We'll probably have that simultaneous break here. But remember, this also could be an area where you can get that rejection, right? So if you don't get the full body candle close above the high and you instead get like the SFP, the sweep, that sweep is going to warn you we're going to be coming right back down to this value area high again. So from 150 to 145. Now that could be pretty intense. So I appreciate you bringing up XRP. That's pretty cool. That's more of a swing trader setup. Because that's like you're looking at a trade that could last you a few days to a week plus if things work out really well. This is your big guy that you need to have that close above. And if momentum were to be maintained, it could take us 15 hours to get there. We hit our head off the order block, the VWAP. Shall I skip the risk management part? No. That's probably... I remember saying in the course, if anyone were to like only take one thing out of the entire course, it would be the risk management part of the course. And I think that's on like day 4 of the course. Yeah. That should be, most important thing you follow. Because that's the one way you can turn trading from like gambling to an actual career. Right? Love that beard ASMR. Can you actually hear that? A tiny beard. I can't grow a full-on beard like lumberjack style or wizard level like Alex of Crypto, but because I have patches. I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 spots on my face that I don't grow any hair at all. So if I grow it too long, it looks just like I stuck my face into a fire. Oh, you can't hear it. Okay. That's good to know. Okay. Zcash. I thought we were spoke about Zcash. Yeah, we spoke about Zcash. MSTR. Oh, watching MSTR is no different than watching Bitcoin these days. You want the tokenized version of MSTR? Look at it on Bybit. Okay, so last time we spoke about MSTR we're predicting this move. And that did well. We got we basically were watching the fact that we are rotating down to the valley area low. This downtrending momentum. So we're looking at basically the clairvoyant strategy rules that we have, which you'll learn about in the course too. Like it's the strategy that I've been using since April 2022, like religiously. Like all the rules were technically met here for long, and again right here. So what you look for is a bullish change of character at a valley area low or deviated below the valley area low and a break of momentum. So the momentum rule was met here. This was like the front run rule here. We swept this low. And then you target the valley area high while watching out for the point of control along the way. Right? So we kind of hit our head off that point of control. You wouldn't have gotten stopped out because you're not allowed to, you shouldn't move your stop loss until you get that follow-up break of structure. So you didn't get that break of structure until after the pullback. So you would have been fine using strong low as your guide or your capital guard along the way until eventually you would have been likely stopped out around like here, unless you took some off the table when we got to the valley area high. Now this is like kind of pegged to a stock, so you're gonna have on the crypto side, because it's open 24/7, these consolidative moments. But on the stock market side, these are like just gaps. We can pull a fixed range volume profile and adapt it to the current price action. Should mark this wick level low. It's ugly. So what, again, similar to like Bitcoin, its positioning sucks. So you'd prefer it to be like closer stage to this VWAP, value area high. Look for a bearish change of character here, because this change of character occurrence here, yes, it obviously worked out well, but the confirming candle, like, it closed here. So you're not really going to jump in on something like that, right? If this confirming candle looked like closed around here and then came down here, then off, perfect. But this kind of stuff, whenever you see this stuff happen, you don't jump in on those. You wait for the retrace. It's kind of a form of imbalancement, right? So if you come up, you're likely going to see that retrace, and then you can start looking for down movements. But based on this, we're kind of getting like an ascending double bottom kind of posture. So I'd look for a new bearish change of character after we breach this high. Since we're positioned at this value area high like this, you'd be mostly looking for shorts. And then back down here, we can look for longs again. So the same way we drew this out, and we kind of like looking back at our notes, we can do the same thing here. Just look for our bearish change of character here. And then target down here. And we don't really have a key level. And we got a golden pocket in line with the VWAP too. So if you just watch that VWAP, you'll know you have that golden pocket confluence. Our break, we broke through the order block. That's mitigated. We just hit the SFP target. So if we get the change of character here, then great. We can get that rotation back up to here. So we can get that short that we want to have at 82,000. If we get the SFP here, we find out in about 2 minutes. Then we target back down here again. And the SFP is likely to, because remember, this is a supply threat, internal supply. That's what helped induce us to come back down here. And if we SFP here, then we would be taking newly added liquidity. If the candle closes in the orb, then we have that higher potential rotation down to the orb low. You're going to watch VWAP along the way. Someone wants to look at silver and prime. Okay. So Jeff, we'll look at silver for you, man. We got, last time we looked at silver, we were looking for the move up or the move down. There's like it was kind of like an AB kind of plan, right? If this happens, then this. If this happens, then that. Because we were kind of in an area of conflict between, if we broke below here, we'd have that bearish change of character, right? And we'd have VWAP on our side, and we'd have this 50-day EMA on our side, and we'd have the POC on our side. If we broke up here, then we'd have those same conflicts that we spoke about would be on our back too. VWAP would be on our side, 50-day EMA, POC. So it was kind of nice to know that we'd have a setup no matter which direction it broke. But the long side was a little bit more lucrative because the pathing to the value area low was a lot more brief than the pathing to the 4-hour order block that we were targeting up here. and we have a lot more room to the value area high. I was expecting that we could hit our head here, and that'd be the end of the move, but we did hit our head here, but we instead kind of squeezed and got that continuation. So basically textbook kind of bull pennant with demand at our feet, right? Now that we mitigated that order block, let's look left a little bit. If there's anything else that we could find that would warn us that we could be coming down. And we were talking about supply. It's gone now. We do have this guy here on the hourly. This is a bearish order block. On the hourly, so we just make sure you label it what time frame it's on. On a bearish order block, you look at the low of the first candle and the highest point between the two. That's pretty much it. The other ones are mitigated. So this is flush with the value area high, so decent confidence for a rejection. Okay, when we get up here, we look for that bearish change character. So 8670 is a good key area to watch out for. The 15-minute time frame is going to be a good time frame, just like last time, right? Last time we used the 15-minute time frame to dictate whether we're going to go up or down. So we're going to do the same thing this time around, because we have that proper structure and in terms of a pullback, but we really still want to have this high taken right here at 85, 86, 615. So this can be established as a proper strong low on the 15-minute time frame. Because if we don't get that high taken, we're so close to it, so we're probably going to take it. If we don't get, then we break down here. This is called an internal break of structure. It won't be considered a change of character, and those are weaker than a change of character. You want to have a change of character because the behavior, what a change of character does, is it takes the liquidity that was newly added. So you have the higher probability chance of this being a guarded area of interest to help drive the market down. And you have more trade participants that jump in on change of characters than they do on an internal structure. The more trade participants, the better, because you tend to have more volume, more follow through, hit your targets faster. But what I'll be watching along the way down is the fact that this consolidation is a value area, right? So when you have demand below your feet, impulse move up, opposing change of character, bullish change of character. At this moment, this became a mature value area. So you could pull a fib from right here to here, right? And as we continue through the price action, we prepare for longs at value area lows and shorts at value area highs. The value area becomes more and more mature, and they can use this data to help warn you how price action might perform when we return back to it. We create a bullish order block right here too, and it has some imbalancement. So imbalancement's obvious when you see a fair value gap creation right after an order block is created, right? This is a big fair value gap. Then that kind of warns you of imbalancement and a higher likelihood of having a decent follow through when we come back down to here as a form of support. So we have that value area confluence. We have this previous order block confluence. So if we do get that rejection, this should be a part of your targeting, your pathing down. You would hope for it to continue down when you're in a short, but you just got to watch it along the way as a potential area for an interest for a bounce. And you can label the age of this value area as 4 days, 5 hours. So you can just get a gauge of the strength. The more time that passes in a value area, the stronger it usually is. Was that 5 days or 4 days? I think it was 4. So if we get the acceptance into this value area, you can prepare for a rotation down to the value area low. If you get a support bounce with a bullish change of character here, then that warns you to get out of your existing shorts. It could be coming back up. So if this, then that. Of course, watch your previous highs. They can also be a form of support too. And this is also an order block here too, guys. Just this one down here, it's got more confluence. So knowing this, you can draw your pathing and prepare for a bounce here, and maybe bounce here, and then the actual reversal here. But I am kind of hopeful that this isn't the key level that we would be watching, that we'd actually get another pullback first, hit the value area high, hit that hourly order block, so you have more structure and more opposing confluences for the short itself. So just be aware of that. I'd rather see this around here than around here. This is a better spot. You have more risk to reward ratio too for that move down. But then you'd have to watch this low if we do have that structure or potential sweep and return back up. Okay, that's silver. Bitcoin got into bearish SFP with the bull. So one thing I watch for when it comes to SFPs is like, how did the candle close? And if it closed above the previous body highs, I get a little bit nervous because the statistical odds of a continuation and sweeping this high is higher. Oh, it looks like we already had that happen actually. Because you shouldn't just ape in on every SFP. Stuff like this will happen because the invalidation point that most people use for their stop loss is the SFP's like wick level high. And there are cool ways you can mitigate or reduce the chances of losing by using fibs. There's a way you can format your fibs to give you a new stop loss suggestion for more breathing room. All you gotta do, if you're looking for that settings, it's pretty simple. Just you have a 0 level, 1 level, 1.5 level. And when it comes to like knowing how to use it, it's simple. It's always, no matter whether it be bearish or bullish SFP, you pull from the wick high to the body, wick high to the body, or wick low to the body. And this will hurt your net R&R, but it will increase your win rate by 12%. On the 15-minute time frame, the 12% is what I backtested that on. So I have no idea what the percentages will be on like a 3-minute or hourly or 45-minute or anything like that, but the 15 minutes, 12% increase. But I only recommend doing it when you're absolutely sure that there could be a chance where you get swept. Nothing's more annoying than having your stop loss right under the wick and then get swept like this, and then it goes down and hits your target. Another good rule of thumb too is seeing how the next candle performs if you don't trust it. I prefer, like, if we have like a doji reaction with the SFP candle itself instead of this like crazy one right here, to then just wait for the next candle to close below the doji. Then you have a newly formed bearish order block right after a sweep, and then you have the order block guarding your capital along the way down. But yeah, this is not an SFP I trust, is basically what I'm trying to say. Can we look at Circle? Yeah. CRCL. We'll look at it on Bybit. Maybe not Bybit. Let's look at something else. OKX. Is there anything that's better than... Why are you using a fib on the SFP? SFPs are... So when you're using fibs, look at structure like this, right? If you have that bullish change of character, you pull from the low to the high, right? And then you have an established retracement level. So when you do an SFP in the fib, if you do a fib on the SFP, you got to understand like where are we flipping directions from. So you kind of have to kind of treat an SFP like an attack on a strong high or a strong low. So like a lot of people will use fibs as establishing a key level that would front run the technical target of an SFP. You can also use, oh, okay, sorry. You're talking about the retracement rule. So this thing here. So this Fibonacci retracement tool, all this tool does is tell you percentage-based deviations, right? Or percentages, right? So when you have a 1.5 level, it tells you that it's a 50% deviation away from the high into the low that you pulled, right? So if you want to give yourself a 50% buffer space for a stop loss based on a recent sweep, then you can increase your odds of not getting stopped out. It's just something that was really, really interesting that we back tested. Like, how much breathing room would you like to give something, right? And to have a proper, instead of just like estimating, let's give it this much breathing room or a little bit of breathing room here, or let's look left over here and find like, where could I put this here or there? We actually back tested, like, if you gave it like 25% breathing room or 50% breathing room, how much does it increase your odds of not getting stopped out after an SFP? Because sometimes you'll have these double or triple sweeps, right? You'll have an SFP and it gets swept and it gets swept again, right? And then we drop. So we basically just create our own like template of a 50% deviation. Sorry, I almost answered the question wrong there based on something else. But yeah, that's why we used we created a strategy that we then eventually automated. And that's when we were creating that strategy, we found that interesting data set. You know, we found it increases your odds by about 12%. Okay, Circle. Going back to Circle. This thing's ugly, man. Uptrending momentum here. Slightly downtrending momentum here. We got a macro fib-based pull here. This is only about 69 days old. We're at its value high. I feel like there's more data out there because we don't have the dinosaur. Oh, we do have the dinosaur on screen. We have this wick level high that we can monitor. So here's a scenario right here. Now this is a really awkward one because the wicks are really rough, but we had an SFP here, right? So you can use a fib from here to here and say, like, if you gave it this much breathing room, you would not have been stopped out when it double swept, right? So we got the SFP, but we came down and grabbed that low. So like if you had your stop loss here, you would not have been stopped out when this occurred. But this is a pretty extreme example because you're not going to take that long on that SFP based on the 4-hour time frame. Because this SFP would suggest like a target to this high, right? And your R&R is crap. You're looking like a 1-to-1. Yes, it's probably going to hit the target, but you should be focusing on like with SFPs. It's like I'd normally recommend like a 1-to-3 at least. 1-to-2s are obviously fine, but SFPs tend to come with lower win rates than a change of character, for example. Yeah, we could sweep this high here on circle. We have downtrend momentum here. It's obviously it's only a 2-touch, so 2 touches with the trend line is a theory. 3 touches is a pattern. So we'll be coming here to see if we can establish this as a potential pattern. We get that downtrend resistance at a value area high. If we get acceptance to the value area, we can get that rotation down. You'd be watching this point of control along the way at $92. This thing is super volatile, so be very, very cautious. Structure is pretty ugly. We had that bullish change of character on the 15-minute right after we had this SFP down here. This told you the same story as what we saw on the 4-hour. The 4-hour we were sweeping these lows. The 15-minute we were sweeping the local ones. But that bullish change of character let us out of this orb, got us above the VWAP. The SFP occurred here telling us we're going to this high. Then we had the change of character telling us we could hold that trade a little bit longer. But now, yeah, we're looking around here for potential shorts around 130. I think that percentage-based move is pretty big. I think it's 8% move in just like an hour. But yeah, I got no structure for you with this. Just that our positioning is bearish. We could be sweeping out like a previous high. Could be getting a downtrend momentum to kind of squeeze. And just prepare for our sweep. Because we don't have any proper pullbacks defined here yet. We need 2 candle pullback, higher high, and then break the low for us to get a change of character, and I can guide you into something like that really easily. But right now it's just about hypotheticals, like how we can maybe prepare for like a 130 44 SFP. Kyle, is there a list of all the autoresponder keywords in the Discord? Yeah. If you just type exclamation point commands. Yeah. I think that's it. Let me double check that. Oh, it's talking to my Discord's kind of broken. I can't find out. It won't let me scroll or click on anything. I'm kind of trapped into conversation with Alex of Crypto. Not too bad, but I can't change it. I tried closing it and reopening it. I'm gonna have to restart this computer. But yeah, it should be exclamation point commands or command. I'm pretty sure it's commands, and then that will pull up all the keywords for you. Prime at New York Stock Exchange. That's it. All right, cool. Prime. Are we looking at this on USDT? Okay. Pull it up on Bybit. This thing is in a forever downtrend. It's been a downtrend since the 24th of March 2024. So we have broad momentum here. Then we had evolving momentum. That's our, yeah. The pace of the seller sped up. Value area, left the value area here. And zoom in on the thing on the daily. What's the value of that wick? It's like 50%. So yeah, careful trading this thing, man. I don't know anything about it, but you can have moments like this where your stop loss isn't honored and you lose a lot more than what you were trying to control. You can be a master at risk management, but if you pick the wrong asset, it won't matter if your stop loss isn't honored. Momentum evolving, fixed range from here to here. We got a deviation away from the value area, 28% move up ever since we used it as support. So we came down, hit the 50-day EMA, value area high, and evolving momentum, and then got the break of structure. So this was the confirming candle warning that we could be leaving the value area right here. And now we're kind of coming up. We have, I think, downtrending momentum here at 54.58 and a supply zone. We tapped into that supply already, so it's a little bit weaker, but I can imagine based on the pace of this move upwards that not very many people that might have been trapped buyers in here or any residual sell orders around here, I doubt that they're all filled, so just be cautious as soon as you enter that area. We're kind of like lacking that unclaimed high to get that, continuation. So you can look at the lower time frames to try to help dictate that continuation. And the hourly's not helpful. 15-minute is ugly. But yeah, that's all I really got, man. It's too choppy for me to give you an area of extreme confidence for like shorts or longs. I can just tell you this, that using the value area high like this as a form of support, it's usually a really bullish, and it warns you that can get a strong continuation, but that continuation I'm expecting to be halted around 55 cents. With a supply, downtrending momentum, this wick level high, and a strong deviation away from this value area, I'm expecting to hit our head here. So if you're a holder, hopefully via spot, and you're not in some kind of dangerous futures trade, because futures with this would definitely be dangerous because the fact that you have these wicks, these extreme wicks, and you'll have slippage during them. And like you could have your, let's say for example, your stop loss at like a strong low or something, and then a wick down and come up, and then you have your stop loss here, but it ends up honoring your stop loss like around here because of that volatility and slippage with that asset. So this is more of a spot trader's asset and not like a futures trader's asset. But yeah, we do have one key area that's definitely would make things bearish, which is like right here, like 37.68. If we close below here, we'd lose the 50-day EMA. We get, sorry, it's a little lower than 37.68, 37.17. Like a full body candle close below here would invalidate everything I just said about that rotation up. If we have acceptance of the value area, break below 50-day EMA, we lose momentum, and we could get that rotation back down to the value area low, but be very, very mindful of the point control at 34.92. And we did have that internal S&P on the hourly. The internal low target is way down here, but I don't think we'll get down there from this. I think we're likely to be due for another retracement back up. And hopefully it leads to a close so you can get that rotation up here instead of just another sweep. Okay, that's prime. Pretty ugly. You know, want to pick your battles in this space, right? And that you're making, like, choosing prime would be like making your battles a lot harder than it has to be. Charles, did you get what I mean when I was talking about the fibs there on the SFPs? Can we look at Carrot? Yeah, we can do that. Bitcoin still just chugging along. Kevin Warsh is the new Fed. I don't know, guys. I'm going to miss Jerome. Let's see. This Kevin Warsh guy. This new Fed. Let's see what happens. I know there are people that used to like, you trade off of Jerome Powell's like good morning statements or good afternoon or something like that. I wonder what people are going to do with this guy. Like, what statements are they going to hone in on to try to trade off of it? Okay, we can flip bullish in a moment here. It's looking like a lot like the other setup that we had last week. We had like a 6-minute trade. It was something ridiculous. Yeah, this little dude. The orb was used as support. Pull back, got the higher, like pretty much like advised everyone to get in earlier than the higher high because we had that doji reaction, and then we closed above the doji, right? Which is kind of like a front run to that kind of unclaimed high move. We create it's a warning sign that could be big players jumping in when you see something like that. It's what creates order blocks. So we're getting that kind of trade set up again, but the positioning isn't as picture perfect. Like here, we had a positioning of it being at a value area low, whereas here it's kind of in the middle of a value area. So we just got that confirmed break of structure, support bounce off that orb. So if you use You could use this as your stop loss, but you can also use this as your stop loss for a rotation back up here. But again, I'm not trading in here. I'm looking for a trade here. Or down here. A carrot. What is carrot? Looking at Mexi. Oh man, it's ugly. Where are you guys trading? Downtrending momentum. Testing that. Mitigated. And tapped into this. Yeah, and then we got so this carrot thing is been inside this valley area for 130 days. We left the valley area, we swept this recent high from the March 28th. I think we front ran this one. This is at 0.101. This has swept up to 0.101. So we have equal highs here and here, which stacks liquidity. Does give us a higher probability of eventually coming back up there, even if we do get a rejection here and come down lower. We have 7 hours and 57 minutes left on this candle on the daily. Let's see what we have though. 45-minute. We don't even have to pull up the RSI. That looks like we're gonna have. We see volume going down, right? And we're getting these staircase kind of like higher highs. So this would warn us that the RSI would look bearish with a bearish, divergence, right? So if you see this downtrending and this uptrending, you'd know that there's divergence forming. You don't need to look at the RSI to know when divergence is happening if you are aware of what the volume is looking like. Just so you guys know, like you can predict what the RSI is going to look like. The RSI is based on that momentum volume between price action. So we have uptrending momentum here. That's not. There's a lot of friction in these candles down here. It gets a little bit less friction over here. This is a sign of either A is reward casting, so there's like inflationary emissions casting out rewards, or it is a sign of poor liquidity, right? So whenever you see that, just be cautious. Key level right now for carrot is down here. This will flip bearish on the 15-minute time frame if we close below 0.062. And that is a huge amount of risk, considering the strong high is like 60% away from that. So you'd have to use like internal level to dictate a stop loss guard, and that's a lot higher risk than using an actual strong high. So I'm kind of hopeful for anyone who's like looking for a setup on this to see this high taken first. And set up a better stage for a rotation down to the value area high. If we get acceptance to this value area, then we can get that rotation back down to its value area low, 0.39. But we got opposing confluences with around the POC. The 50-day EMA POC demand. A crazy move up, but yeah, I would expect to move down very soon. Like this was already a really good sweep. We could see that. Oh, it wasn't swept, sorry, but we stacked here, so I can see us coming up here and taking that newly add liquidity and residual liquidity and then come down. Nothing really concrete that I'm confident in here because it's just such a low market cap asset. Doesn't take much to manipulate a price action on it. All the degen coins getting their time to shine in this today's stream. Yeah, I don't even like looking at it. Like I can kind of tell by the name. If I don't even recognize the name, then it usually is a crappy token. He looks like a banker degen. I'm more worried about like, cause like the one, like you can say bad things about Jerome Powell, but that guy was uncorruptible. You could not. I'm more worried about corruption. Yeah, super humble. So I'm just wondering, like, what this new guy, like, what we could expect from him. Yeah. Just a lot of uncertainty. Solana go down and take liquidity at 87. We could look at Solana again. Solana coming up to take this high here alongside Bitcoin. Bitcoin's positioning is alongside Solana, like we suggest, like, yeah, when we get to 82,000, where Solana could go is like 97.68. We talked about Solana already, where we're coming up towards this big area of opposing confluence. Oh, you can't see it very well here. Let's go to the 3 hour. Right, so we have this previous value area low, right? This supply, right, where we already kind of hit our head off of it already before, right? And we have a psychological level of $100, right? So as we are approaching this, we can prepare for a rejection. And then I'll be targeting, at first, if we get that bearish change of character around here, and we come down, I'll be targeting $92 area, right? If we break past that and get acceptance into this value area, then yes, $87 is definitely going to be possible. But we have to look at this barrier first along the way, like $92. That could prevent us from going down there. We have this like regression trend, liquidity curve here that we can grab that can induce a bounce. Not saying it's, yeah, but basically 87 is kind of guarded by the big demand zone. And because if we grab 87, there's a good chance that when we grab that, we hit our head off the value area and we just continue to go down lower. So like 87 would be a really good like scalp long to about $90. We're almost got that high taken on Solana here, and Bitcoin's really close to that 82 marker. Momentum candle close. All right, we took the high. Now you get your bear goggles on. You prepare for rejections here. You rotate to lower time frames. Let's go to the 4 hour for a second. Eight. Seven hours and 50 seconds, 50 minutes on this. Okay, so like here, we are super internal, but if we close below here, close below this wick level high at 97.68, we'll have a daily internal bearish change of character. And that does give us an insane target of this low, like a ridiculous target. So it does, not all targets are meant to be hit. So yes, that could be the technical target of the SFP, but what's blocking our way there? We have a daily order block here, right? We got our valley area low here, our valley area high here, and all the barriers that we just spoke about, like $92 and stuff. So I'll just mark this whole area here. So if you have that daily SFP confirmed in about 7 hours, you can use lower time frames for like structural gradients after that confirmation's met, like a 15-minute bearish change of character, and then start targeting around $90.50 and watching 92 along the way. And of course, then you can start at that point, look for continuation posture. Let's go back. 30-minute. We can delete this. So this might happen sooner rather than I thought. Here. So if anyone's ever traded a daily SFP before, they know they have lots of time to prepare, right? So 7 hours and 50 minutes is like, I don't know, 10 years in crypto time. So if you get the daily SFP, that basically we need to have the daily candle close below this dotted line, right? Then you can, after it confirms, you can look at what does the structure look like at the time. Do I have like a 15-minute key level, like here or wherever it may be, and then you can use the 15-minute time frame to dictate your entry. Use the daily SFP to dictate your stop loss, and then target way down towards $90.50, and hope for the continuation when you're holding the short. But if you get that bullish change of character here, you got lots of time to react and get out. So I think that this is going to be a really good setup. You will likely hear a signal from you from Solana when this confirms. So this Solana's going to be on my radar today. And Bitcoin's always on my radar. And Bitcoin's opposing confluences are lower. So you get the hourly order block, 200-day EMA, valley area high, downtrend momentum. So we just need structural gradients. And what's 7 hours from now? It's about here, right? So around this moment here is where we need to see Solana have its daily SFP. And we might have that bearish 15-minute change of character on Bitcoin when that happens. So we'll have Bitcoin structural gradients met around the same time Solana has its potential bearish SFP. Because if we close above this instead, we have a bullish internal change of character on Solana's daily, which is actually the opposite of what we're kind of hoping for when it comes to the drop. Doesn't mean we won't get a pullback, but it does mean it tells like where we're going long term could be to the upside, not the downside. So Monica, I would say we're going to go up first, then go down. But I don't know if we'll reach 100. We could reach 100, but there's a big story being told here. We could come down sooner. NYSE. You're not talking about crypto, are you? You want to look at the index? Price discovery based on this chart. Retested the orb, used it as support. Got that bullish change character right prior to that. Don't have a proper pullback yet on the 5. I got uptrending momentum here. And orb block here is already mitigated. Orb block here is already mitigated. Psychological level up here. Yeah, when you're in price discovery, and I don't think this is, I just look at the wrong chart, but you look right and you see if there's a rounded number where you can prepare for a rejection off of. If there's no supply to your left to go like base off rejection or any opposing confluences. So you can look at stressor levels like VWAP deviation. Okay, we're starting to get a proper pullback now. So if we get that higher high, thinking of the bearish change of character and come back down to these previous highs here at 1485. Nothing crazy. The orb technical target. It's at 1-to-1 now. We got this is the break moment. And 1-to-1's at like the 1500. 1-to-2 is way up here. We might not even reach that 1-to-2. If you didn't like the break, then you can go for the retest. And Bitcoin's still crawling. Solana starting to get a pullback. This pullback is probably just going to retest this high. I'm expecting a bounce to come back up. Have I tested the orb strategy on the stock S&P 500? I have not. If you want to right now, it'll take us a millisecond. I've tested on Ethereum, Dogecoin, Bitcoin. The best results, if you guys are interested in knowing, is for Bitcoin is the Tokyo session. For Ethereum is the New York session. Ethereum actually had the best results out of every asset. So we have a tool now that allows us to test 3 million different variables within a day. And what it'll do is it'll tweak the strategy here and there to find out, like, what could you do to optimize your entry? What could you do to optimize your stop loss? What could you do to optimize your take profit? And, I went through 3 million different variables and found a way to bring up the win rate to 67%. Or 69%. I'll show you that in a moment. So the SPX 500. Let's see. So if I'm going to pull up the strategy itself. Nope, wrong one. How does it do? It's 52% win rate on the S&P. Profit factor isn't great. You want your profit factor to be at 1.5 or higher. Like above a 1, you're going to be making money, but it's going to be so slow. 1.5 is your target when you're building strategies. Yeah. So not really good based on the current settings that we have on here. Yeah, there's been recently there's been some wins and losses with it. It's just not good overall. So knowing that it's 50% though, you could still use that to your advantage. So having 52% odds is pretty good. Now, if you were to match that alongside other rules, like let's say, for example, all the orb strategy rules are met at a valley area high after losing momentum, right? Like this one here, you could see these, you could use these in confluence with it, and then target the same target as the orb would, which is always like what we have it back tested as is basically 1-to-1 targeting and 1-to-2 targeting, and then like how much are we closing when we get to the 1-to-2? How much are we closing when we get to the 1? Are we having a trailing stop loss? Are we closing at the end of a session? Right? All these variables can impact like your win rate. So just by changing that, like we brought up our profit factor from 1.17 to 1.24. Just by changing those two things. So not having a trailing stop loss with the strategy, and see how it brought the profit factor down. You can also change like how many ticks. For those of you who don't know what a tick is, it's kind of like a Forex term, but basically you look at an exchange, and every exchange will have a unique tick point. So like, for example, Bybits, every tick is 10 cents. So what's the lowest you can get? What's the lowest decimal you can get a contract for? And that kind of represents a tick. So if you have like 100 ticks, it's like $1, or a $10, sorry. So every $10 move, it would adjust the stop loss, like after it hits your TP1. Closing at the end of the session seems to be the biggest factor. Like if you don't close at the end of the session, it allows it to run, and you have a better chance of it hitting your TP2 before the end of the set, like at the beginning of the next session or something like that. But yeah, not great odds, but it's good for stacking. Like a pull up Ethereum, our current testing that we're doing right now. 69% win rate, 1.637 profit factor, and that profit factor is also including fees, right? Because we have built a whole separate tool for that, so we can find out what the commission is. If you're looking at commission rates of like 0.06%, which is pretty common, unfortunately, but the profit factor would technically be better, increase, if you have a lower rate, commission rate. So let's say you brought it down to 0.03, your profit factor will go up, right? So this is based on the average. What's everyone else going to be dealing with on average with fees if they don't have like for example, like there's a lot of YouTubers, including myself, that will give you guys like deals and stuff like that with exchanges. Like I personally give up a lot of my commissions so you guys get cash back. So after your trade closes, you get earnings on it. But yeah, Ethereum's really good. Ethereum's awesome. So I recommend if you're doing the ORB strategy, the variables are a little unique though. This is all based on testing, closing 20% at your TP1. And your TP1 is your 1-to-1. Your TP2 is your 1-to-2. So you're closing 20% at your 1-to-1. You need at least a 0.08% buffer with a close above the orb or below the orb. If you're using a trailing stop loss, we're testing out the average true range. Pretty good. And then right now, this is in forward testing. So if over the next month, the forward testing results are good, we're going to automate this for you guys so you can connect it to your exchange and it'll automatically trade so you can just earn passive income from it. But we want a month of forward testing results and not just back testing results. Okay. Is your plan to automate the taking? Yeah, that's my plan. Yeah, Ether printer. Bitcoin's also good if you're trading the Tokyo session because you have those burst movements, those illiquid movements that, like this. This is kind of like an illiquid pump, right? So you expect them to be retraced, of course, but we found that the Tokyo session with the orb strategy tends to be a part of those moves. So you're in and out really quick. And we're getting close to those opposing confluences, guys. So if you took a long on that, just prepare for an exit plan soon. We're $400 away from the 200-day EMA and that hourly order block. Tokyo session is your bedtime. I hear ya. There's some people that watch from Germany, so it'll be good for anyone on the other side of the globe. For anyone on this side of the world, then Ethereum is good. All right, so we got a request look at CFG, STPL, and MINA. Let's see. CFG. I'm looking on Binance. monitoring the pace of the buyers and pace of the sellers. An apex point here on Tuesday. Let's see. More macro momentum here. We had evolving momentum that broke. We had evolving momentum here that also broke. Oh, no, we didn't break it. Let's double check one sec. Okay. Let's look at the hourly time frame right now. So we got, broad momentum that's been holding it up since the dawn of time, pretty much at 1272. Right, so when we come back down to this area, at any point, you can watch the order books and see if there's a buy wall that can induce a bounce, or you can just look for a structural guide using like a bullish change of character and down at these areas. We are trying to hold support off this previous macro high. We just became our value area low. Let's zoom in on the 15-minute. Okay, so this is the conduit. We had demand here, kind of hold us up. I'm going to include that into our value area data. Yep. Internal momentum. So depending on how you do your pull, whether it be from like the base of this impulse move demand here, or you do it from this more macro pull from this demand here. Either way, we're at an area of interest, either at the value area low or at a point of control. And it's a balanced D-frame value area. We have a little bit of interest here, and a little bit of interest down here. So I'd expect, like, if we come back up here, we can use this volume shelf as a form of resistance like we did last time. We have broken internal downtrending momentum. We didn't sweep the most recent low. So we went from trading internally to now trading internal to the internal. It's been pretty messy on some charts lately. So if we have swept that, then this would have been more of a higher confidence move up. But we're looking at orb, we initially broke it to the downside when we came back up, and now we're breaking it to the upside. We have a VWAP in our face. We recently just swept this as an SFP. So this SFP is telling us that we're likely to be coming back down to here to take this low, but we're still holding off that orb high, right? Basically the neckline of an ascending double bottom. Ascending double bottoms, you grab their, from the wick level high to the support, you click, you drag, and you have like a technical target based on their momentum. And this one's suggesting 31.58 as a technical target, but I won't feel confident in that unless we get a close above this wick. So that would come with like a 5-minute bullish change of character based on this 15-minute posture. Oh, the screen went gray. 1 second. There we go. Yeah. So we have a proper pullback on the 15, on the 5. So if we get a close above this, we'd have VWAP on our side. We have orb on our side. We have structure on our side. So 5-minute candle close is all it really takes. And then you can use the internal strong low on the 5 as your stop loss and target the value area high. That'll give you a 1 to 2. You watch the wick level highs up here. If we try holding it, right? If you look at this, we got clear evidence of supply here, right? So impulse move down, basic structure, impulse move down, supply barrier that kept us down not once but twice. So if we come back up there, we have to watch that opposing structure that could induce a move down. And the fact that we're potentially creating downtrending momentum, we only have 2 taps, so it's like just a theory right now. But when we get there, prepare for that potential front run, right? That front run could start around the time where you hit that double bottom technical target. So you might not reach your 1 to 2. And depending on how the candle closes, you might not get a 1 to 2. Assuming we even close above here, because we did have that SFP, right? So don't try front running this when we have the evidence of the SFP that just occurred, warning us that we could be coming down. We hit the 5-minute SFP target already, right? We swept this high. We took the most recent profit pullback during this moment, but we were looking at the higher time frames. We had this sweep here, so we could have a higher time frame pullback, and that would come with the rejection of hitting this VWAP, breaking below this low with a proper close, because we swept here, right? We didn't close below here. We swept here. Oh, maybe we did close below there. Wait a second. We did close below there. Oh, no, we didn't. My bad. Man, I just mark it there. Just mark it. You'll find out. If we have a 0.3036, where's the close on this? This is 0.36. Okay, so we had an equal body level close. So this was a technical sweep. That's a weird situation. So yeah, close below here, expect a rotation down to like 30 cents again. Close above here, you can prepare for a rotation up to like 31.89 again. So if this, then that kind of thing. You wouldn't want to take the short. You want to focus on the potential long. I hope that helps you out. But that is CFG, short term. And yeah, breaking this momentum would lead you down to likely in 27.92. Back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at 81.80. Yeah, 81,800 now. We're slowly getting there. Watch it back from the start. All right, cool. Thanks, man. But yeah, we went through a lot. We went through Solana, Sui, XRP, Ethereum, Zcash. I think we went through Cardano. A couple degen assets. STBL was another quest. Another KuCoin. KuCoin doesn't really exactly ask for that much liquidity, though. They only want like $10,000 worth of your token, and then $10,000 worth of a stable coin, and they create their centralized LP pool that way. So it's very easy to get listed on KuCoin because of that. And then you get these like really crappy. It's very like, oh, man, a toddler could vampire attack a KuCoin's exchange. Vampire attacks are like basically like the equivalent to arbitrage, but just repeating it over and over and over again until their liquidity is gone. So like, you can just like basically buy on one exchange at a lower price and sell it higher on a KuCoin, for example, withdraw it, rinse and repeat over and over and over again. That's how Sam Bankman-Fried built his way up before he scammed everybody. Let's get a supply up here on STBL. We're building like a rounded bottom. There you go. We have draw market structure here. We got pullback, low, internal, takes the low. So we just draw from here to here. Watch this high. And supply here. Keep us down. Mitigated it here. So we include it into our pull. All right, we're at a local value area high that we've been in for about 111 days. Every time we got to this high, it first was induced by supply, right? And then we created a value area here, right? And then we had this triple bottom here, broke the neckline, built the regression trend to the value area high, had a proper pullback here. Okay, guarantee that there's a good low time frame key level there. Mark that look level low. Let's zoom in on the 4 hour. Yeah, it's our 4 hour strong low. And last time we got here, we had a really easy price action defying the top, right? We got pullback, higher high. We kind of built this like head and shoulders kind of structure. And then we came down, got that bearish change of character, and we started leading back down to the value area low. So here we're looking for the same kind of thing. Currently, this is our change of character level. But if we get a proper pullback again and then take the high, maybe sweeping this high, maybe sweeping the high up here before we get the opposing structure. But we're at the stage now where we look for that. So if we instead, if we get the pullback, then we use the value area high as support, right? That warns you of a trend bound move up. And you'd watch 0.4863 first. With your next big boss is this guy over here. We got a little dude over here. Right, we got a 4 hour bearish order block here. That floor is 0.5320. You just mark this up. But here's gonna be a problem. So just watch this first. You can actually mark this whole thing as a value area actually, because we had this like proper impulse move, basis structure, impulse move, create demand, was the floor for like this area for a little bit. Didn't hold for very long, but And if we end up getting acceptance into that value area, then you can get target extensions to maybe around 0.65. But until then, I'd be on bear mode, looking for that bearish change of character, and then rotation down to the value area low. Just be mindful of the fact that we are creating this curve, and if this turns into like a parabolic curve, we can see it kind of run up from there. But this thing's really, really young. It's not too old of an asset, or at least it's not listed for very long on KuCoin. We just established our first like 200-day EMA here at 6712. So barrier number 1. Well, not including this guy here. And barrier number 2. If we do get that, if we get the bullish change, break of structure on top of the value area, just be mindful of these big areas. And this guy next. But a picture perfect short would be us coming up, establishing support off the value area high, SFPing, then change of character, then down we go. If we go straight down and break this, then you'd have to hope for a pullback, and then use a strong high as your stop loss, and then target down here. That's the 4 hour. And hourly, I don't know how reliable this is on the hourly, but it's really blocky. Just need the high to be taken here, and this is your strong low. If this high is taken, you can start short here, but you have to watch these lows because the 4 hours in charge of the hourly, right? You couldn't really go very much lower than that in terms of time frames because of these candles are just garbage. Be careful trading this thing. Bitcoin got a good pullback. Nice. So if we take this high, we'll start developing a good key level for shorts. Why don't you go long? I already went through all that. Is internal to a value area. I'd rather, yeah, I could have gone long here based on all the, but it's not my rules. You guys, the more you know me, the more you know that, yeah, the longer you follow me, the more you'll know that I basically have a checklist and I do not jump into a trade unless all those rules are met. Because that's the only way I know I have the statistical probability of like having a high win rate. Like my win rate's like 82%. And I just stick to the same rules over and over and over again. And then all those rules will be met around here. So we'll be at a value area high, right? And I'll just need a loss of momentum, which we already have really steep momentum, so that'd be so easy. And then having the bearish change of character. Those are all the rules of clairvoyant strategy. And the average person who just learns the strategy has like a 70% win rate. And then you can, the more you learn, the more you can kind of find like, okay, because of this structure here or because of the structure there, I don't like this, so I'll step away so you can avoid like some unnecessary losses during unique scenarios. Or maybe there's a demand barrier or a supply barrier that was just created and you don't want to like short or long into it. Or maybe you see confluences that aren't even a part of the strategy that you can stack on top of it. For example, like the 200-day EMA or this hourly order block, right? Having those confluences alongside it increase your odds. We're really close to bear mode though. CT Shield, the living daylights out of this coin when it came out. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I have my own token that I created, but you won't see me shilling it. Like, and it's when it comes to like any other assets that are low market cap, you don't want to. When someone ever shills anything, you guys should do a crap ton of due diligence. And the more you learn about market structure, and the more you learn about TA, the only thing you can use, like eventually you're going to be able to just, you're not going to want to listen to YouTubers. You're just going to want to do things on your own because they're going to affect your bias. And the only people that you should watch on YouTube after you have your rules in place are ones who have that kind of follow the same kind of rules that you do, right? Because they might see something that you don't. Do I always trade the OB strategy? No. The OB strategy is actually something that's relatively new that we're kind of just using in confluence with what I already do. I'd say I've been looking at the order block, it's not the order block, the orb for the past maybe 8 months. Never needed it to have a high win rate, but I've been building off of it to try to create a mechanical based strategy for beginners that has like a high win rate, because mechanical based strategies, you don't need to depend on market. No, you don't need to learn about market structure. You don't need to learn about a whole bunch of other stuff. You still should, but mechanical based strategies, you're basically just looking at 3 rules, checking them off a list, and you're entering in and out based on the probabilities of those rules, right? But the orb strategy, I would prefer. It's really nice, like having the confluence of it. Like if it's at a value area low or at a value area high, and we have an orb break to the downside or orb break to the upside, then those are awesome setups. But when they're in the middle of a value area at a point of control like this, they're higher risk. And we didn't take the short when it broke to the downside this morning because of the fact that you're not really getting much R&R. This low was a risk. We SFP'd off the low and it came right back up. And we're bullish on the hourly. This is the hourly strong low right now. So it would be the lower time frames will be opposing the higher time frame bias. The long panned out pretty good. It was alongside the bias, and we had view up on your side, got that bullish change of character. And the R&R wasn't too bad if you took it, but you'd have to use that low as your guard. Yeah, so you need to get around here to get that proper risk to reward ratio. We reached about 1.79. So I'm just looking for better positioning, looking for the short here. I like the pullback that we had. So the criteria can be closely met once we reach this high. Have a good key level here. Look for a short off that, or maybe we'll get something like this. Look for a short off this. I used to buy what Alex Becker told me to buy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Alex Becker is a great entertainer, but don't follow his advice. He's good at picking out the sectors, but maybe not so much the assets. I used to watch his stuff too. I used to watch Crypto Zombie religiously when I first started trading. I used to watch Crypto, Carl to the Moon, Alex Becker. But yeah, they're really good at getting you slaughtered, especially when you're a beginner. You're building your own trading system with its own set of rules and checklists. Nice. Good job, man. MINA was a request to look at. Arena. Finance. Okay, this thing's not... This thing's in a forever downtrend too. Macro broad momentum. Evolving momentum. Zoom in. This is our October 10th crash. Yep. Supply. So we pull a fixed range volume profile from here to here. Our evolving momentum. We have an apex point here. Zoom out on that. Was that the evolving? That was evolving, yeah. We're really far away from the macro broad. And currently we have a bearish key level on the hourly down here. Oop, my bad, delete. Right here. Watch the wick level high. Watch the local. Alright, so the hourly is bullish internally. We got currently kind of double bottoming right now, trying to get above this VWAP. The double bottom, ascending double bottom's neckline is here. Look at the lower time frame structure is really choppy and ugly. There's lots of friction. You can watch the order books as we get closer to the uptrending momentum. And these are the coordinates to the momentum if you want to screenshot them. But the if we break this double bottom neckline, we could see that rotation back up to this unclaimed high, where I would be preparing for shorts again on this thing. If we take that high, then our hourly strong low will rotate from here to here, and it'll give you a higher key level to prepare for a macro short back down to its value area low. We do have like broad momentum here, so just be aware that you could find support off that in confluence with the 50-day EMA. But acceptance into the value area like that normally dictates rotation back down to the value area low. Our value area is relatively balanced. We have, it's a D frame. We have 0.590 be a big strong key level for macro longs. But so far we've got that, you pull back, retested the value area low, got that break of structure. So it warns us that we could leave in the valley area. But you got to watch, opposing barriers along the way. So this extreme high here, we've only mitigated about 75, maybe 80% of this supply. So this is what's kind of left before we can get that run up to this previous range here. Where's that valley area? Kind of supply here. Yeah. Left the valley area here during this moment. if we manage to make our way back up here, we have to watch our head around here at 0.814. This thing's super low market cap, so again, be careful trading this thing. You're very likely going to be dealing with slippage. And we only have 2 key levels that I can identify that I can help you through, but if this, then yeah, prepare for that. Maybe a bounce here. And then if this, then you're preparing for this move up. And watch out for the S&P sweep, bearish change of character, rotation back down. Bitcoin is still chugging along. It's getting a deeper pullback. And we could come back and retest this neckline here. Maybe even the orb before coming up. But yeah, I'll never short just because we're at a value area high. But I will short when we're at a value area high and we have a change of character, so we can use the strong low as my stop loss guard. Can you quickly give a rundown of the orb rules, please? You just said the whole thing. It's that easy. So the orb is the first 15-minute candle of the session, right? From here to here. When we break below or above it, you want to have VWAP on your side. So if you're going for a long, you need to have the VWAP below you. If you're going for a short, you need to have the VWAP above you. Right now, that's no matter what direction you went, the VWAP would have been on your side because it was like inside of the orb, which is nice. When it's inside the orb, you tend to have a trade no matter what for that day when you're using the orb strategy. As you get better at value areas, I'd recommend not doing the orb strategy in the middle of a value area like this, right? Because it can get really, the probabilities aren't that, like that's like the lower side. Like the probabilities are always going to be on your side for the orb strategy. It's going to be about, for the New York session, it's about like 50 some percent on Bitcoin, 56%. But you can increase those odds by only trading at a value high or at a value low. But anyways, yeah, the orb strategy itself is just having orb view up on your side, breakout, using the orb low as your stop loss in a long, or the orb high as your stop loss in a short. You do not need to depend on structure to have the statistical probability that I've told you. But if you're using a strong high or a strong low instead, it could improve or worsen your R&R, right? I have noticed that once you have a 15-minute candle close above it or below it, at that point you can dive into the 3-minute time frame to see how it behaves, right? So you can, okay, we got a 15-minute candle close, it was roughly around here, and then you can look for a drawdown, break a structure to just improve your odds of the trade like working in your favor, right? And then get out an opposing structure right here. If you're using the 3-minute to dictate your entry, you can use the 3-minute to dictate your exit. Like that's what we did in our last orb setup that we took together. It's just dissected on the 3-minute after we got the confirmation. This was the confirmation candle right here. See how it glows a brighter green candle? So that was the confirming candle on the 15-minute. We came down, retested the VWAP, retested the orb high for that day. And yeah, we got the doji engulfing candle entry and it just teleported to our target. So that's what you're kind of looking for in a 3-minute, is that retest kind of price action if you want to dissect it and just improve your odds. Or if the confirming candle was really steep, let's say we have a 15-minute candle close, but it's way the heck up here. So you don't like the R&R, so you can look for the pullback and use the 3 minute to like define an entry then. Just like with the Fibonacci retracement strategy that we teach in the course too, where you use the 15-minute to dictate your bias, and then use the 3-minute time frame to dissect how it behaves once it reaches the Fibonacci like golden pocket area or 786 area. The same thing can be done with this strategy. That's it, man. And when it comes to TPs, you're looking at your TP1 would be your 1-to-1, your TP2 would be your 1-to-2. Right? And you look, okay, when you have your TP, let's say you take this long, right? And you're targeting here. What could prevent you from getting there? Right? And this is where like the more you learn, the more you'll make, and the more you'll be able to identify like when it's time to get out, right? And like here, when we look left, we have like a supply threat, liquidity above these highs can be taken, right? And you have that bearish opposing change of character, and like that can tell you to get out and maybe plan a re-entry or just be done for the day. Sounds like it's raining outside. Yeah, so the orb strategy is, think of it like it's, you only really get one, like when it comes back down to retrace it, you can expect for it to act as support, as a support form of confluence. Don't just assume support, but it's a form of confluence, just like a VWAP is, right? Or a POC or a value or high. But yeah, I don't have any statistical odds for you on how well it would do on a retrace. I haven't back tested that yet. That Sui Pump was serious. That Sui Pump was insane, man. Yeah. I actually prefer entering the retest of the orb. I think context matters a lot on how you approach the react when you retest the orb. Yeah, so like here's a good retest scenario. But when you deviate this far away, when you come back in for that retrace, then you got to think about like what's the market doing now? Is it rotating back to the value area low? Structurally wise on the 15-minute, I would look at this as a potential scenario where we could get the bounce though. We were retesting, we had this internal bullish change of character on the 15-minute after having an SFP, right? So we could see this as a retest to this high, retest to the VWAP, retest to the orb high. So you can look for a 3-minute bullish change of character, similar to what we saw here with the bearish change of character, right? If you see structure like this happen here, then yeah, you can take the long for sure. But you'll be targeting this unclaimed high first in hopes that it breaks. But at first, you'll be like watching this as your primary concern along the way, and then hopes that you get that continuation for like like around like 82K or above. So if this was upside down and then put here, that's decent criteria because of what's happening on the 15-minute. It'll just look like a retest to the double bottom neckline after mitigating this supply, right? And when you mitigate supply, it's like armor. This is the sword. We pierce through that armor, and that armor is now destroyed. So it's gonna be a lot easier for us to get the higher high next time around. Think Sui will make a huge correction? Yeah, I spoke about that already. We're being held up by like paper thin demand right now. Right here, we had a 5-minute demand here, had a bullish change of character reaction off of it, induced some liquidity below us. So I think right now it's kind of on its way back up to try to get acceptance into this previous valley area. But it failed the last time. Like what you want to see when you break into a valley area is like that candle close in, which it did great at, right? We hit our head off that 200-day EMA though. And then you want to see the higher high, right? But instead we broke below, used the valley area as resistance, and we kind of like chugged along back down. So we could be coming back up for that second try, but we have flipped bearish here. Then we flip back to being bullish here. So I'll just be watching for a potential opposing reaction at the $1.35. See how it performs. We have a golden pocket there too. So this whole area is, we could get our head hit here. We have proper demand, I would say right here at $1.16. We have this uptrending momentum that we're kind of holding off of from 95 cents. But we're basically fighting this big previous valley area. So I think we're going to be range bound against it. Maybe come back down to as low as 115 until eventually breaking through it and get acceptance back in, then be targeting 170 again. But we're coming up now to find out. This is our second little test here. But I do think that we're going to fail against it because we had such a ridiculous climb up. You got to think of the psychology of the holders. Like, because we had a valley area here that was 78 days old, right? We know that people accumulated here, right? So they were holding at a loss for months, right? 101 days. Some people were holding at a loss for here. So when we come back up here, the first time around, we're bound to hit it as resistance as people like have their limit orders exit. They might still have residual orders here. So if we get that proper acceptance, then we know that those limit orders are all filled, and we're more likely to get that rotation back up to like $1.70. But I doubt that they're all filled already. I think that now people are going to be reactional, and they're going to see where price is, and they're just going to exit so they don't have to deal with it. It's crazy how many people just will hold and hold and hold for so long, and as soon as they get to break even, they'll get right out. But they won't hold their gains. Or they'll hold their gains too long too. Come right back to them, and they'll get out at break even. On-chain analysis is a huge tool. Like whenever you see like supply being held at 50% of 50% of supply being held at a loss or more, that's when you start to buy. And when you see the supply like 80% or above being held at a profit, then you can prepare to get out. You get a macro view of everything. I'm getting that a decent retest here. What's the 3-minute look like? All right, so we're getting a proper pullback here in the 3. We got 20 seconds left until this closes. Right, so this will help us if we come down lower, because this will become a key level for a change character reaction. So we want this to close green. This candle close green. There we go. And now we can come down if you want. If we come up, maybe hit our head here. Take this low, and then we get the bullish change character. And that would be a good time to prepare for a move up. And by then we might tap the orb again. Well, we got pullback criteria met, which is nice. So you still want the low. Because again, I'm not a knife catcher. I'll look for changes of character or breaks of structure. And entering now is knife catching. You're crossing your fingers that it goes up. And I'm not saying it won't just go right up from here. It could, but I like to dissect things in a way where it improves my odds. A lot of FOMO now. Don't feel the FOMO. I don't feel FOMO anymore. So for me, I will FOMO out of a trade, but you'll never see me FOMO into one. Whenever, let's say for example, you jump into a trade and then just like moves insanely fast towards your target, those moments you should FOMO out because that normally gets retraced pretty quick. And the more and more you trade, the more you'll realize that you are the asset. You focus on your market cap, right? Rather than the market cap of the asset, you're focusing on the market cap of yourself. And that market cap is your account balance. And your goal is just to keep this thing in an uptrend. Just like the assets you wish you held were always in an uptrend, you want to do the same thing with your account balance. And you're going to have pullbacks with your account balance, and those are going to be defined based on how well you're able to manage your risk management. As long as you're focusing on, trying to gain more than what you're trying to lose, focusing on 1 to 2s versus lose $100, trying to gain $200 or more, you'll be in an uptrend forever, man. And then, once you have the risk management part down, then it's just about focusing on your win rate. And your win rate is defined by the strategy that you choose and your ability to execute it. Like, I could give you the best strategy in the planet, but if you can't execute it because your emotions tell you to jump into a trade when you're not supposed to be in one, then you don't have those probability. You don't have the probability of the strategy that you back tested. You have the probability of the strategy, or you have the probability of your emotions, like how well your emotions seem to perform against the market. And the market does not care about how you feel. The market makers do, though. They'll try to induce behavior. But yeah, guys, I gotta head off. So basically, just to repeat, you're looking for a bearish change of character, preferably on the 15-minute time frame. Once we breach this high, this is the internal high here that we want to have taken. We have an hourly order block here. We have downtrend momentum here, 200-day EMA, our value area high. So basically, we're just looking for our bearish change of character once we get up here. I will signal to the community when I'm jumping into a trade, right? Where my stop loss is going to be, where I'm going to be targeting. At first, I'll be targeting the hourly strong low, where the value area low currently is, right? In hopes that we get the continuation. Right? If we get that break of structure continuation, then awesome, we can hold the trade. But if we have like an opposing reversal structure, like either ascending double bottom or a bullish change of character, I'm getting out. So basically just going from here to here. If we get the structural position that we want, if we get the bearish change of character, because I'm not just going to be jumping in when we get here. I want to see evidence of the reversal. All right, we went through a lot of assets, so if you guys want to go back through it, we went through Cardano, Zcash, Sui, XRP, Solana, Ethereum. I don't know if we went through Ethereum. We went through silver, went through a lot of degen assets today. But yeah, if you need any help with anything, reach out to me in the Discord. I'd love to help you guys out. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's live at 10:30 Eastern. I appreciate everyone's been liking, subscribing, sharing. It helps a lot with growing. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you guys.